Thanks for joining us today at Unstuck Your Business Podcast.
You went into business with a passion to explore your skills and talents and show the world what you can do to contribute into our society and into our economic ecosystem. But a couple of years into the business and your drive and motivation has dwindled, and now you feel stuck.
When you find yourself at this crossroad of thoughts and emotions, how do you deal with it? In this podcast, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship to help you unstuck your business. We are your hosts, Inés Nazario Vega from Business Essentials Virtual Assistant.
And Edith Duran from Reason Marketing. Welcome back to Unstuck Your Business. Today's episode is a special one because we are celebrating a milestone, our 100th episode.
Woo!
Yay!
100!
We made it. We made it.
Yes, we did.
If you've been listening to Unstuck Your Business, then you may already know this, but when Inez and I started this podcast, our goal was simple: have honest conversations with entrepreneurs about the real challenges of building and growing a business. What was it we called it? The good, the bad, and the
And
ugly.
the ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly of business, running a business.
That's right. And we have not held back. Along the way, though, we've had the privilege of speaking with incredible guests, lawyers like Justin Munizi, accountants like Nancy Benet, coaches all across the board, marketers, operators, and founders from many industries, all sharing their experiences, lessons, and yes, the moments when they felt stuck. And some
We've all been there.
we have certainly all been there many, many times. At least for
Mhm.
me, it's been many, many times. But something interesting happened as we looked back on these conversations. What do you think,
Yeah,
Inez?
yes, something we did happen is that we started noticing patterns. And no matter the industry is, and no matter the stage of the business, actually, entrepreneurs face many of the same challenges: the mindset struggles, the financial pressure, the self-doubt, the leadership growth, and the constant need to adapt and change. And so, we notice that pattern in our interviews with the different people in business.
That's exactly right. And then after 100 conversations, maybe a few extra conversations in there. But after 100 conversations, we realized something really important. Entrepreneurs don't usually get stuck because of lack of information. They get
Mm-mm.
stuck because of fear, doubt, isolation, and
Isolation, yes.
yes, isolation. Definitely after post-pandemic, we
Yeah, and
all
I think in
can
the
relate
fear
to
we can,
that.
yeah, I think in the fear we can add the fear to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. You
That
know,
isolation goes hand in hand with the fear to ask for help.
right. Trying to do everything alone because you have it all in your head. I
Mhm.
mean, that's what this podcast is all about, getting yourself stuck.
Yes, and so today we wanted to do something a little different. We're celebrating. It's 100 conversation. And instead of interviewing a guest, we are going to reflect on the biggest lessons we've learned from these 100 conversations.
And there's something really special about this because these lessons have come directly from the stories, experiences, and wisdom shared by all the entrepreneurs who have joined us on this incredible Unstuck Your Business podcast journey. And as we
Yeah,
walk through them today, you might recognize some of these challenges in your own business.
yes. And, our hope, which has been our hope and our mission throughout the recording of this podcast, is that this episode in itself, 100 episode, helps you see that getting stuck is part of the entrepreneur journey. But staying stuck doesn't have to be.
No, absolutely not. And I can say from my own experience that staying stuck may actually start to become a comfort zone. And but
Mm,
you know, but growth doesn't happen in comfort zones, as we all knew that. But, before we
Mhm.
get into too far in deep, let's get into these lessons we've learned from 100 conversations. After 100 conversations with entrepreneurs, Inez, what would you say we've learned?
I would say, we talked about patterns and ongoing similarities between entrepreneurs. I would say mindset determines momentum.
I would agree. Yes.
Mindset determines momentum. Even in all stages of your business, the mindset, if you don't have the right mindset to start the business or to maintain the business or to grow the business,
Mm-hmm.
that will put you in a stage of feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And we do have great episodes that help with that particular item, I would say.
Oh, at 100%. And just off the top of my head, the one that comes to mind right away is the one with Nalini Partap. I believe that was episode number 75, Fear, Faith, and Pursuit of Dreams. And I really love that we're starting with mindset because when you think about it, being stuck is certainly a mindset, you
Yes.
know, because taking that next step towards the challenge that you're facing
Hmm.
is it's in your mind. But
Yes.
and what we've learned from these episodes and talking with our guests is that your mind can really mess with you.
Yes, yes, it can. It can. But you know what? The insightfulness of bringing these guests to talk about mindset is that, we have the mind part of it, but we also have the neuroscience behind it.
Hmm.
And that's when I want to recall our episode Reset Negative Thinking, that one we did with Holly Miller. It's our episode number 69. And where, we are really hard on ourselves and we blame ourselves for a lot of stuff that we do, the patterns of behavior, the way we get stuck. And it
Hmm.
can be, like you said, it can become a comfort zone, or it can be a learned pattern from our past, from our parents, from our family, from whatever.
Hmm.
And having that tool to reset your negative thinking and understand the neuroscience behind it, I think that was an amazing, amazing, insightful episode.
It truly was, and I'm still following Holly Miller's content today because she was so insightful in that episode that it really drew me into listening to more and more of what she had to say. And then I really liked the episode that we had ourselves where we're talking about our own vulnerabilities in business. That was episode number 80. And in
Mhm.
that episode, what I really appreciated is that we were able to vocalize our own
Mhm.
vulnerabilities and not try to hide behind that shield that a lot of us put on
Mhm.
just to really convince ourselves that.
Convince ourselves, and we also fear the lack of credibility from the marketplace
Mhm.
if we do tell, hey, we're vulnerable here or there. And I think putting a voice to our vulnerability, it makes us stronger really in the business world.
Yes, I mean, you couldn't have said that better, because what we've found in this first lesson that we're addressing today is entrepreneurs don't fail from lack of information, not at all.
No,
They
no.
fail from doubt, they fail from fear and isolation, like we said before. But
Mhm.
once you begin working on that mindset, the next reality entrepreneurs face is the resilience because,
Yes.
this success journey is not a straight line.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a straight line. There's the ups and downs. It's really a roller coaster.
Hmm.
Being an entrepreneur, I always say it's not for the light of heart, or you have to grow thick skin fairly quick once you
You know, not just thick
start the
skin,
engines.
but I think you also you have to really learn to adapt.
Mhm.
It's funny. I've had friends and relationships in the past that say you're very California, and I what what I'm taking that to mean is that I like to, I just roll with the punches. You have to
Mhm.
sometimes, most times, and I think that that just kind of rolling with the punches sort of characteristic is that emotional resilience.
Mhm.
You have to maybe set frustrations aside and move on, move on from there.
Mhm.
Maybe just you address those feelings later, but in that
Mhm.
moment, you might need to get unstuck in your business by being aware of your mindset for one thing, and then, just taking that next step out of the emotional impact that it's causing.
Which episode would you say kind of address that?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's definitely coming from the one with Gigi Santiago. And that this was kind of an early episode. It was our number 36, where
Mm-hmm.
she really talked about, I mean, I believe Gigi's a mindset coach for executives. So she was able to really get into the details of being aware of your mindset when you're feeling stuck within your business.
Yeah, yeah. No, the one that stood out for me was Didi Vasquez. Um,
Hmm.
Didi is a mindset coach, and she has a really cool program, and where she addressed, how to be less stressed and to succeed more. And Didi comes from the NASA background, so
That's
she
right.
really put together a program that most likely she learned from her career in NASA,
Hmm.
and been very successful at it.
And that way, Dee Dee was, which episode was Dee Dee?
Number 42.
Oh, okay. Um, no, I vividly remember our conversation with Dee Dee, she had a lot of insight, and she comes from I believe that her father, she mentioned her father was also successful in his path. So she grew up with that, kind of
Mhm.
high achieving
Yes,
drive.
the
And
high achieving demand.
exactly, exactly, which, a
Mhm.
lot of us carry, a lot of us entrepreneurs carry that high achieving demand on ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, but so when it comes to like to pressure,
Mhm.
we're putting it all on ourselves, not just there's that emotional pressure that we put on ourselves, but then, on top of that, there's that financial pressure, that self-doubt creeps in, then the criticism, and then the
Mhm.
uncertainty, and
Mhm.
without stopping to really give ourselves credit for for our achievements. It's like, oh, that's
Mhm.
long gone, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. No, it's being in business, you learn self-adaptation, you constant adaptation.
Hmm.
Especially when we talk about uncertainty, which that I think is a relevant word today. The
Hmm.
uncertainty of the market, the uncertainty of, with our clients, the uncertainty of many things. But as an entrepreneur, we grow the resilience. We adapt.
Hmm.
We develop that emotional resilience to go through it.
Hmm.
So I would say, once entrepreneurs, they push through mindset challenges, I think the next set of lessons tends to show up in how they actually run their business, because that's what's going to make a break. You can
Hmm.
have the mindset, you can have the resilience, but if you don't have the processes to run your business efficiently, then we're talking about another set of things to overcome.
Yes. And I think that that leads us into that next lesson. Once we've addressed our mindset, um, now we need to know that we need to fall in love with the problem rather than resist it, because
Mhm.
there. we're gonna face a problem every day, and if not every day, every other day. But if we're gonna put that pressure on ourselves that everything is supposed to be perfect, and we're not supposed to be running into problems because we, we're supposed to know
If you
everything
ever
going
find that
in.
utopia world, please let me know so I can buy my ticket.
Yeah, right. I mean, we laugh about it now, but I think that, it's a real it's a real thing that we put that expectations on ourselves of not making mistakes. But so
Mhm,
once, we get past that and we do come into those challenges, falling in love with the problem that you're solving is really going to start to build that foundation for
mhm.
the successful business that you're envisioning.
Yes, I totally agree. I recently did a workshop for startups here in Puerto Rico, and where we talked a lot about that. It's like, you can come up with a great business idea, but if you're not solving a problem, those are the ones that fall into those statistics and where business fail within 3 to 5 years.
Hmm.
I mean, that's those numbers have not lied over the years. And the way to not fail in that time frame that most businesses fail is, customer retention, for example.
Hmm.
You need to fall in love with your customer's problem and
Yes.
and try to resolve their problem.
Hmm.
And I think, we addressed that in our I want to say very early in our podcast,
Hmm.
episode number 12, and where we really dig into customer retention.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember any other one that we have done, but I think that those are the things that, again, mindset, resilience. But now let's get to the nitty gritty,
Hmm.
customer retention, fall in love with the problem, not with the product.
No, I completely agree. And I do remember that episode that we did together, episode number 12, because I think if I remember what set us up correctly, is that we were dealing with that challenge ourselves, in our
Yes.
in our weekly check-in that we have, and we're talking about episode ideas. I think we were both at the time going through a challenge
Mm-hmm.
where, we needed to address our customer's problem. Um, in a different way because keeping our customers is certainly important to both of us within our business. But one that I think we also addressed very similarly is one we did more recently, which is
Mm-hmm.
episode number 98, just a couple
Oh,
episodes ago.
yes.
With
Yes.
uh
Yes.
with Vance Morris, and he came with a very similar take, but I would say because of his experience with Disney,
Yes.
his ideas of adding these almost like theatrics or exaggeration
Mm-hmm.
of, really loving your customer and giving them the best experience that they could
Mm-hmm.
possibly have with you. I absolutely loved his tips. I believe the name of that episode was Customer Experience and Retention, turning clients into lifelong fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was a really interesting take on how to address the issue, or I wouldn't call it the issue, how to work on customer retention for
Hmm.
your business. So, businesses grow, and when they solve painful problems, clearly they really succeed.
Hmm. Yes, they're taking it to another level because when you think about it, I mean, we do a lot of marketing ourselves, of course, because it's part of the business. But what customers say about you and about their experience with you, that speaks volumes,
Absolutely.
And in this digital age that we're in now, what customers say about you goes a tremendous way, with
Hmm.
reviews and social posts and, testimonials and case studies. Like
Yes.
what their experience with you is just it's almost like a stamp,
Yes,
seal.
yes. And now it's more important than ever because now with the click of fingers and a computer, a bad review can really make or break your business.
Yes.
And so does a good review.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
giving that good experience to the clients to persuade them to leave a testimonial, that makes a world of a difference in any business.
No, it really does. But, let's be real for a second here is that 100 good reviews is what you need to stand up to one bad review. So you
Unfortunately.
have to really make it your standard procedure to leave good, lasting experiences with the customers that you are engaging with.
And that's when we go back to well, it sounds uh contradictory, but we have to fall in love with our customers' problems.
Exactly, exactly. And well, solving real problems helps businesses grow, which is what we're doing with our business and our services. But there's another area that many entrepreneurs struggle with. I can't and imagine there's too many entrepreneurs that don't struggle with this, and that's money,
Cash flow,
cash flow.
the
Yes.
cachimbo.
Uh-huh.
The cachimbo, the cash flow is always, it's in top of mind, especially for entrepreneurs. We kind of like
hmm
wake up thinking about it and go to bed thinking about it. Not necessarily because we think in the sense of ambition, trying to make the millions, but we are like anybody else with a W-2 paycheck. We are
hmm
thinking of how we're going to pay our next bill, how we're going to pay our mortgage, our rent, our gas, our food, and it's not easy when you don't have that steady paycheck coming in. So
No.
that's why it's so I find it that this is like the most important thing to get a hang on as an
hmm
entrepreneur. If you don't get anything else from this episode, get this, you know, learn your numbers.
Yes. All your
Learn your
numbers.
numbers.
Yeah.
You
All your
know,
numbers because, I, something else that really stands out from the many conversations we've had about money and operations is that we may have a steady revenue coming in, but if you don't know what your expenses are, what it costs you to get a lead, what return you're getting on either your marketing investments or, if you don't know what's working and what's not working
hmm
and you're the illusion could be that everything is working great because the steady revenue is coming in. But,
Yes.
one thing that is, also is like embedded in my brain from our episode with Amy Green is ignoring your finances is like eating soup with a fork. You
And I
know?
love that title. I love that
Yeah.
title. And I really enjoy the way that she explained it too. Amy Green,
Uh-huh.
she's an amazing financial coach, very down to earth. She didn't use all this finance terms to explain on the numbers. And I
hmm
think that's what we need to do a lot. I think, entrepreneurs or even individuals in itself, even people, ordinary people that don't have a business, they avoid talking about money. They avoid um, facing the truth about their finances,
hmm They
and
do.
that's the recipe to getting stuck. Because
hmm
again, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know what you don't know. And it's funny because sometimes, like you say, people get very comfortable because they see revenue stream coming in, and not knowing what they're spending or what have you, or how much time they are investing in making that revenue come in.
hmm
Because time is money. Because if you're working 60 hours a week and you're making the same amount of money, guess what? Your hourly rate just went down.
hmm Right. Exactly. And what exactly are you gaining from your invested time, your invested energy, if
Mhm,
you're working 60, 80 hours a week and you really don't know what you can count on, And
mhm,
so money avoidance, I think, it just again falls into that first lesson we talked about is mindset and fear and
Mhm.
doubt. You know, you still have your own fears and doubts about yourself. And I think, when you start to see the numbers clearly, it it's hard to initially not take it personal, not
Yeah,
see it as a personal failure if they're not where you thought that they should be. But,
yeah,
as successful entrepreneurs, these are just numbers, and you have to separate your own
yeah.
character from
I
that.
I think the fear behind all that is the society has made money part of your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so people say if my money is not right, then I'm not right, as
Mm-hmm.
a person, and that's why people avoid it. But let's be honest, let's be upfront. Without knowing your numbers, you don't know what price to charge for your products. You don't know how to benefit from your tax deduction. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to do your tax planning or even how to strategize your business going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you avoid it, the worse it's going to hurt you.
No, that is 100% true. And I will say that I've been guilty of avoiding that myself. But within these conversations, I see more and more clearly how critical knowing your numbers really is. And it's not an overnight success to create that spreadsheet or use that dashboard
Yeah,
or
it's not
whatever
the
it
it's
takes.
not the fun part of business. Let's put it that
No, it
way.
really isn't,
I personally, I dislike dealing with it. I really don't like it. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial person, but I know the need to rely on somebody that does and understand my numbers.
Hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
and know where you're at and see how it is aligning with your own business, with your own vision. Because at some point, every entrepreneur is going to hit a growth ceiling, and almost
Hmm.
always that ceiling comes from trying to do everything themselves. So, if nothing else, if you need to start to delegate just your bookkeeping and your
Accounting.
accounting so that
Hmm.
somebody else can give you that analysis and you don't have to do it yourself, just you could start there.
Yeah. No, and I think the benefit of having an accountant to do that for you, they have an unbiased relationship with what's going on.
Hmm.
They can tell you what's going on black and white. If you do it yourself, you can get a little bit emotionally attached to that
Mm.
process.
Yes, you do.
And when you get emotionally attached to something, it might limit the way you make decisions.
hmm
So that's where delegation is literally the gateway to growth. And I think the first thing you want to delegate, if possible, is your accounting. Your If you're not an accountant, of course, if you don't have that ability, like I don't, the best thing I can do is to delegate that part of the business to somebody that does, and that we hold hands and help me grow together.
hmm That beautifully sets up our next lesson, which is delegation, which
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of experience in helping entrepreneurs learn that art of delegating. Actually, that was the name of one of our episodes, the one with Julie Riga, number 64, The Art of Delegating. And,
Hmm.
she made it sound so, not so easy. The way she broke it down is when you're holding on to all of these tasks yourself as the owner of the business, you're not running a business. You know,
Yeah. You're
you're
fitting into a job.
exactly, you're just
Mhm.
creating the job for yourself that is likely not paying what you used to make at
Yes.
at your full-time job. Uh,
Yes.
and then also, let's not forget what you do, what
Yes.
you
Yes. Well,
offer.
I myself, as running a virtual assistant agency, I see it day in and day out.
Uh-huh.
And where, people that, especially people that are starting up, because they don't, again, we're talking about the lack of cash flow to recruit people and what have you. Um, but I see that entrepreneurs by nature, almost, and this is not every entrepreneur, but I would say a good majority that I have come across by nature, they can be a little bit of control freaks.
Oh, I'm guilty. Raise my hand right
You
there.
know, and rightfully so because their business is their baby.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like us, at least for me, I had a really hard time letting somebody else take care of my daughter when she was little. She's my
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
And I just don't want to give it to somebody else, but I needed to delegate her care to someone else so I could go to work or do what I had
Uh-huh.
to do. And I think that's the mindset of many entrepreneurs that their business is their baby and they
Mm-hmm.
have a hard time giving a little piece of that baby to someone else to help with.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode that I addressed that was the episode that is how to recruit and use a virtual assistant
Mm.
because it's not only that you recruit a virtual assistant, is how do you use the virtual assistant?
Mm-hmm.
Which part of your business that you're not doing so well can you delegate so it runs well
Mm-hmm.
and it enhances your business? But that's a topic that's really a very sensitive topic that people have a hard time processing, and rightfully so. Again, because business when you start it, that's your baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mindset thing.
Hi, I'm Edith, owner of Riza Marketing, a boutique marketing agency in Orlando, Florida, where we have a small but mighty team dedicated to helping service businesses dominate in the Central Florida market. We begin by helping you discover your own secret sauce. You know, that one special something only you offer and your ideal clients love you for it. When you take pride in the service you offer and the experience you provide, but feel your marketing message isn't resonating with the right audience, we can help. When you're at a loss for creating advertising that evokes emotion and prompts action, we can help. Or if releasing viewer-worthy content with consistency is an ongoing challenge, we can help. Riza Marketing helps you define your unique flair and deliver creative content on a dependable schedule. Online marketing is easy when you have a team of pros by your side. If you're ready to make marketing fun again, then visit our website, rizamarketing.com. That's RIZA marketing.com, and schedule your free discovery call today. That has been something that I myself have struggled with. Our upbringing, I think, I'm not even sure if we've talked about this episode within our list of lessons, but one that comes up for me too right now is the blind spots, seeing your blind spots, because I could see where my
Mm,
upbringing as the oldest daughter in my family, as the a single mom for a long time, it's like there's been a lot of conditioning there where you're almost forced to take on the role of being in charge and being the one that's like has the pressure of making things happen. At least I feel that for myself. And then it does feel like a personal failure when you're not delivering. But
mm,
with that aside, if you're that business owner that feels that they have to do everything, I mean, you're also denying yourself the opportunity to meet somebody that can open up your creativity and see things from a different perspective and
absolutely.
and add something new to your business that you didn't even know it
Hmm.
could be because you were holding on so tight. So just,
Hmm.
something to
Yeah.
consider when you're holding on to those different areas, because either you may not be very good at some areas that you should delegate, or maybe you are very good at them, but there is also another way to do things, you
And
know?
not only that, as a business owner, your goal is to be strategic,
Mm-hmm.
not to be task oriented. I
Right.
mean, of course, that depends on what kind of entrepreneur you want to be. But if you are the kind of entrepreneur that wants to grow a business, you must use most of your time in strategic tasks.
Yes.
So then, just ordinary day-to-day operational tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, this delegation is very sensitive thing, but it is really the first step towards growth.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to put a caveat to this. Delegation without systems often will lead to chaos. And and I come, I face this almost with every other new prospective client
Mm-hmm.
where they will call me and say, Inez, I need help. I need a virtual assistant. And when I dig into, okay, you need a virtual assistant for what? Oh, it could be for a cleanup of a database, to manage their CRM system, to manage their emails, or what have you. And when I ask them, do you have a documented process for your task? I want to say 95% of the time they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem because if you have a messy operation, and to that I add a virtual assistant, I'm adding to the problem. I'm not solving anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, one of the lessons to create that we have learned through this 100 conversation is systems create freedom.
Mm. Yes.
Having that standard operating procedure so that you can start delegating, so that you can start being strategic, so you can become the CEO of your business. It's very pivotal. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
Oh my gosh, I could not agree more on this. An activity that immediately comes to mind is about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. I was so tired of hunting down files because I couldn't remember where I saved them. My filing system on my cloud was chaos. I can't describe it any other way. And there was one night where I said, that's it. I need to organize this. And it probably took me a good 4 hours to organize all my files and go through and delete old files that were not any good to me anymore, and organize it all in a way that was systematic, easy to find,
Mhm.
and I could duplicate every single year. And that activity alone has probably saved me hundreds and hundreds of hours, not just
Oh,
me, but
yes.
my entire team. And you wouldn't really think about your cloud filing system, but that's where an example of a system that can benefit you in a lasting
Mhm.
way is right there. And then you
Yes.
just, get into that mode of creating systems for when an inquiry comes in through your website, systems for onboarding a new client, systems for offboarding a new client. We just
Okay.
had that conversation not too long ago too. But those
Mhm.
systems are so you're absolutely right. It creates freedom.
Yeah. And I want to bring up one episode that stood up about this particular topic was the one with Jen Dickel. And
Hmm.
Jen is a master in organization. I take my hats off. I know Jen personally, and she knows her stuff and she knows how to get things truly organized. And so I invite those who are listening to re-listen to our episode number 72, From Chaos to Control, mastering the business operations. She brings like so much wealth of knowledge on how to organize your business, how to document the processing of your business, and really take charge of your business and create freedom for yourself.
Hmm. You know, um, once a business really becomes stable, as we're talking about here, the next phase, or much easier to walk into would be expansion. And,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that another liberating part of having a business is when you start expanding your team,
Mm-hmm.
expanding your locations, expanding your freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where the visibility, relationships, and strategic thinking really becomes critical, is when you're thinking of expanding.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I would say lesson seven will be, to have visibility matters more than perfection. We
Hmm.
say that, right?
Yes.
Visibility. So I think that that's the lesson number seven that we can attribute to once we have everything put together.
Hmm.
Once we have, again, mindset, resilience, customers, systems all put together, we have not touched and talked about sales and marketing.
Hmm.
And that's one part that people that don't have the expertise in those areas can make or break their business. It's
Hmm.
in the sales and marketing. And but with sales and marketing comes a lot of what we call branding.
Yeah.
How does the market really views you?
Hmm.
Um, and we always say it, visibility alone isn't enough. Entrepreneurs also need support, but visibility does matters
Uh-huh.
more than perfection at times. We have all this behind the scene that we want to run perfectly,
Yeah.
but we also have to address the front stage
Yeah.
that makes the business successful.
And as I think it's interesting that this is the area, this is where we are addressing visibility is, lesson number seven. Far into our conversation today of lessons learned through 100 conversation is that in marketing, most people want to start there. They want to start with marketing and sales. And I'm not saying that that's not a good place to start. But without those other lessons that we've addressed, without the
Mhm.
mindset, without the systems, without the ability to delegate, what
Learning
people are,
numbers.
yeah, I mean, without all of that ahead of your marketing and what the visibility that you are showing people is a little bit chaotic. It's people start to see some inconsistency in your messaging. People start to see some branding that may not be completely a great representation of what you are offering. So this is why visibility, of course, by itself is not enough, but the mindset, the clarity that you have with what you're truly offering, what your brand is truly representing, the service and the experience that you're truly offering, all of those are so important in putting it all together into a package that now customers and potential customers can really see,
Yeah.
your visibility.
And while you were talking, this is my visual of all this. If you have everything that we have talked about from lesson one to lesson six put together, now you have time for your creative side of the business.
Ah, yes, that's a great way to put
And
it.
because you let this one to six run on itself, it's just an autopilot.
Hmm.
It's running, it's organized, it's taking care of your business. Now you have that space for creativity, which is the marketing side of the business. And
Hmm.
like you said, if you have your brain running in 10,000 different directions, your marketing statement may not be clear because your brain is all over the place.
Hmm. Exactly. Uh-huh.
Your brain
Yes.
is in the cash flow. Your brain is in the in the customer problems, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
But once you have all of that taken care of, now you have time to clearly define what your brand is.
Right. Right. And then now when you hire professionals to do your brand photography, I think we had Karen Kunta, a brand photographer, on our show as a guest, and she talked about brand photography. But now you can hire a professional photographer and know exactly what you want them to do for you. You know,
Yes. Yes.
How do you want to be seen by your potential customers and clients?
Mhm.
And without that clarity, you're just kind of, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes, one episode that you did address the marketing and the personal branding, which I thought was very insightful, was also in the beginning. It was in
Yeah.
the beginning of our podcast. We're talking about the SEO,
Mm,
the truth about SEO in episode number 8. And but I think the most important thing when it comes to this part of the business is that people buy trust and relatability, not polished marketing. But
that, yeah, that couldn't be more sweeter words that you could have
and
said.
yeah, and that comes through your personal brand, and that comes through your business brand. That you can build that trust and you can build that relatability
hmm
by, by working in those areas of your business.
And that's what one of the things I address quite a bit in that episode number 8, the truth about SEO, is that SEO is oftentimes um, thought to be more of a technical aspect of marketing when it
The
really isn't.
analytics.
Yeah, it's the analytics, it's the bots, but really what it comes down to is how do you want people to find you? SEO is search engine optimization. And when you consider what you want to optimize your own branding for, what are the
Mhm.
services that you really offer? What's the experience you really offer? Then that's when you're really setting your business apart and it's easier to find, it's easier to see, it's easier for the bots to make that connection with your ideal customer. And that's really what the truth is behind SEO is that
Yeah.
clarity gains you visibility.
No, and attracts the right clientele,
hmm
attracts the ideal client, because sometimes we go into business and we want everybody to be our client. That's a big mistake, to tell you right there. Not everybody is your client. You want
No.
the right clients that align with your business so that you can both together succeed as business.
No,
Or
that's really a big myth is that you can serve everyone because maybe you do have the ability of serving everyone and anyone, but do you want to? No. There are definitely customers you
do you
prefer not
have the
to serve.
bandwidth? And when I
Yeah.
talk about the bandwidth, it's everything, the emotional,
hmm
the time and everything else that entails to take care of everybody. And that's one of the myths that's going into entrepreneurship, is that, oh, everybody can be my client if I have this product. It's like, no,
hmm
that doesn't work that way. But moving along, Edith, what would you say is another lesson that we have learned from our 100 conversations?
Something else that I have heard repeatedly is that working harder isn't always the answer.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurs, we really need our community.
Mhm.
And however you find community, it's all up to you. Some people prefer the community that's in person, like
Mhm.
networking, and some people find their community online, and
Mhm.
within forums, within groups. But I think when it comes down to it, don't isolate. Find your community, create your tribe. You need your circle, as you know, we are in each other's circle. And that has been tremendous
Mhm.
to not just my personal growth, my business growth, my spiritual growth because of the connection. And it's really invaluable when we're talking about business growth.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I we did say the word isolation in the beginning of this episode because it is a threat to
Mm,
business success. When you're completely isolated, guess what? You're gonna start doing things the same way day in, day out, and you're gonna stagnate your business.
hmm
If you're gonna have that accountability partner or that inner circle that you can brainstorm with to find new ways of doing something, or when you're simply not all there and you need that support to bring you back up,
hmm
you're going to need that inner circle to build you up. And the one episode that stood out to me about this particular topic is the one we did with Gigi Santiago again. She's an
Yeah.
amazing coach, an amazing business life coach, and she brought that back to she brought it in our episode number 77. Building the inner circle, and I as I was thinking, there was another episode we did about networking
Hmm.
with one of the ladies from Alignable. And because
Oh, that's right. Yes, we
I can't
did.
remember the episode number, but I guess we can put it in the notes if people need it. But you don't have to get out of the house to find community sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Nowadays there's a lot of of networking, even virtually. But the point is, whatever it is, the way that you decide to do it, but look and find community. Look for your tribe that can help to build your business.
Hmm. Um, I know we've been chatting here for a while, so I want to move things along a little bit and get to another lesson that we also heard repeatedly um, about strategy.
Mhm.
Strategy really beats hustle.
Mhm.
Um, Without strategy, I think we could really be working those hours and spinning our wheels and not pinpointing why are we doing this? What is
Mhm.
it what's the result that we're trying to achieve?
Yes, and I think, the hustle culture is slowly fading. I
Mm,
think business community have figured it out after so many decades that
hmm.
it's not just hard work that makes the everything work.
No.
We are human beings. We need balance. We are mental and we're, mind, spirit and body. And the strategy helps us to put all of that in balance.
Hmm.
Again, we go back to through strategies, you can make the time for your emotional health care, for your mental health care, and for your body health care. And we cannot, being busy all the time is not sustainable at any level. It's not sustainable. I don't care what anybody says. And I want to bring up a very short story very quickly. When I was 29 years old, I was one of those, entrepreneurs. I wouldn't say entrepreneurs, but professionals. I was in the corporate world, and I worked literally myself to death.
Mm.
I ended up in the hospital 3 days. What my diagnosis was? Physical fatigue from working
Wow.
50, 60 hours. So the hustle culture doesn't do any good.
Hmm.
And what episode would you think it will help our audience to relate to this topic?
I think there was one that we did also, you and I, where we had a conversation about being beyond busy, the
Mm,
strategic systems for service business growth, because as our audience knows, we both offer service businesses, and that can certainly keep us very busy. But in this day and age, there are so many incredible tools out there that can
mhm,
help us work smarter and not
mhm,
harder and still deliver quality service and quality material. I mean, we use AI on a regular basis because it helps us do a
Isn't it
much
funny?
better
We always,
job.
how did we do it without it?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it's only been around like what, a year that we
You're
have been like really looking into using it and using it.
Yes, but we've also developed a system for how we
Mhm.
use it. It's
Yes.
similarly with automation. Automation
Mhm.
helps you work smarter, not harder,
Mhm.
when with consistency. There's
Yes.
automation with scheduling your marketing, and all
Mhm.
of those tools are just they are part of the strategy. Get out
Mhm.
of the hustle, create your systems, have your clarity, be consistent with your marketing, and it's all around developing the strategy. Work smarter.
Mhm. Yes, yes. And moving on, I know this is a long episode. We're trying to really recap on 100 episodes from our podcast. But I would say that another lesson that I particularly learned is that growth does require letting go of control.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we say letting go is when we start growing and we have to start talking about hiring, delegation, and operations, and scaling and expanding. All of that requires letting go. And I want to bring up one episode that came to mind for this particular lesson is the one that this was one of our early episodes too, and with Manny de la Vega, who we is
Mm-hmm.
a personal friend of both of us, but he has managed to be very successful in a very challenging industry, which is the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
And where he's in his episode, he addresses that scaling means shifting identity, and he talks on how to maximize your operations. So
Mm-hmm.
those listening, how do you go from being a worker to becoming a leader? I think that's one of the biggest lessons.
And yeah, and I want to just expand on that just a little bit because what you just said is so important that I want to make sure our audience heard that. It's stepping out of being a worker and
Mm-hmm.
actually stepping into the leadership role that you are meant to do to create the successful business that you've envisioning. And being a leader means exactly that, what we are talking about in this lesson. That means hiring your team. That means delegating those responsibilities. That means creating operations that works across all of the areas of your business. That is becoming a true leader, a true entrepreneur that is taking not only yourself, but now
Mm-hmm.
there's people behind you that are relying on your leadership
Mm-hmm.
to take them places, learning. So but yes, that episode number 45 with Manny de la Vega is one that I encourage our audience to go back and listen to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what would you say is another lesson?
Another one that it might not get talked about enough is that entrepreneurs, we must constantly learn. We know that, but
Mm-hmm.
do we actively look at
Intentionally
it?
do it.
Yes, yes,
Because
that's
we
what
can
I'm
be
trying to
listening to
say.
podcasts like ours, or we can
Mm-hmm.
be, just taking in from bits and pieces here and there. But do we really sit down and perhaps learn a new skill,
Mm-hmm.
or, learn the numbers, learn how to read the numbers, things of that,
Yes.
or learn a little bit about marketing. So when they're talking to someone like you, they can articulate what this is that they need for their
Mm-hmm.
business. So yeah, I think that the constant learning is definitely something that is very important as an entrepreneur.
And a way that we can constantly learn. I mean, there's so many out there, but one is having a mastermind group. We did
Oh,
that
absolutely.
ourselves. The mastermind magic, the power of a tribe in episode number 47, where we put together our Think and Grow Rich mastermind group. And that's a group of professionals that are professionals in different areas as ourselves. And every
Hmm.
time we are in that room with them, we are absorbing and staying curious and feeding our curiosity and
Hmm.
expanding our
Learning.
minds. Yes, and learning and learning.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, absolutely. And last but not least, Edith, I think one other lesson we cannot let go by is that businesses, we're here to serve our community.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to make tons of money and have a healthy bank account, but businesses that serve people well create impact beyond their profit.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is that if we don't serve our community, we won't have a community to serve. And what I mean with this is that if we do not feed into our community becomes our market. Our community becomes our credibility. Our community becomes the word of mouth referral network. If
Mm-hmm.
we do not empower our communities and we do not serve our communities, what's the point of having a business?
Right. And I mean, listen to this lesson is that, what is the point of having the business if the rewarding part of giving back to your community is missing? And that could mean different things to different people who your community is. I mean, I know somebody that gives back to is a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons and will help his Dungeons and Dragons group in any way that he can. And I think that is so fun that you can connect with something that's important to you, no matter what it is. And,
Yes.
I think when generosity meets action and makes a difference was our episode number 61, which with Joe Hearn. And he was so great at explaining that because he's an integral part of so many different communities.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many ways you can give back to your community. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It can be your time. You
Hmm.
know, if you are an expert in an area and you want to mentor students in your area of expertise, that's a way of giving back to your community. And, another episode that really stuck with me in terms of how they serve our community because they are a nonprofit that is creating jobs of all things. There's a business creating businesses.
Hmm.
And it's our episode number 74 with Evan. Empowering Hands is the title of that episode, but it talks about this great organization creating jobs and where they're building jobs globally.
Hmm.
They're building jobs globally. So if there's an area, if you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have a certain expertise that you can give out to the community for free, do it
Hmm.
because it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off. So
You know,
this has
um,
been a very long
it
podcast.
has been very long, and I don't know, how many of our audience are still listening and still with us. Um, but we're really close to wrapping up. Before we do though, we just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to our
Thank
audience
you.
because reaching 100 episodes of Unstuck Your Business has been such an incredible journey. And
Hmm.
it's because of you, our listeners, our guests, fellow entrepreneurs who are doing the hard work of building something meaningful.
Yes, yes. And over the past 100 conversation, we've noticed something powerful. Every entrepreneur gets stuck at some point, but the breakthrough always starts with the mindset, clarity, and the courage to take that next step.
So the great news is that we've created something really special for you. Every
Yes.
episode that we've mentioned today is now a curated playlist of all of the tips that we've mentioned here, all the lessons, and it's what helps entrepreneurs move from stuck to breakthrough. What we are calling it is the Unstuck method.
Yes. And if you're feeling stuck in your business, this is the place to start. You can find a playlist in the show notes. And we really look forward to 100 more episodes and 100 more conversations with the amazing people in our business community.
Yes. And until next time, we encourage all of our audience, our guests, the people that have helped us grow this, the behind the scenes, help us keep moving forward, one breakthrough at a time.
Fantastic. I love that. One breakthrough at a time. So thank you everyone for listening and until next time.
Until next time. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you. Let us know what you think about today's topic by leaving us a comment and a review of our podcast.
And if you found some value on the information shared in this podcast, please subscribe and share. And you can find us on our Facebook page, Unstuck Your Business, and join the conversation and engage with other entrepreneurs as together we help each other unstuck our business. Until next time.
Until next time.